I purchased the Stream Deck Plus, along with the Wave XLR dock, a while back now, and I did it for a couple reasons. First, since I reviewed the Wave DX, I've had nothing but a bunch of people telling me it needs to work with the Wave XLR in order for it to sound good. Now, that reason alone wasn't enough for me to actually go and buy it, so I could just put it on my shelf. But then reason 2 came up. When Elgato released the Wave XLR dock along with the Stream Deck Plus, it was perfect. It gave me a reason to buy the interface and plausibly come away with a usable product once I'm done with the review. Sweet. So then, let's get the review of the Stream Deck Plus out of the way. I love it. It's amazing, it's awesome, and it's so full of potential. Cannot recommend it enough. As for the Wave XLR dock, did I mention how much I love this Stream Deck Plus? Okay, so for the sake of this, we'll keep the Stream Deck Plus in this just due to proximity. But all in all, it's kind of what you would expect for the price you pay. It's plastic all over, and I would grade that plastic about one step above Zoom plastic. Now, in case you haven't seen these, they are technically two different products. The Stream Deck Plus with the dock version of the Wave XLR plugged into the back. Now, if you're curious, you can get either this or the hub version. Now, you do have to do your own surgery to get them together, but honestly, I didn't think it was that big of a deal if you know how to use a screwdriver. And once it is together, you got yourself an all-in-one. The Stream Deck Plus works as intended, and of course, the Wave XLR does as well. And since nothing really changed, other than the fact that they're both going through the same USB port, there really isn't anything new to how it connects. It's actually a pretty cool concept when you think about it. Now, of course, the Stream Deck Plus is what you would expect. The buttons feel great, and the knobs as well. Really, it's just a delight to work with. And now we get into some of the issues I've run into with this thing. The round-trip latency is horrendous. Yes, you can choose to not hear yourself, but your only options are hear yourself or hear the PC audio. Not both. You cannot direct monitor the mic and hear the PC mix without the mic if you don't want that latency, which is a bit annoying, not gonna lie. Any other interface has zero issue with this. And considering the amount of people that complain about the latency on the Rodecaster series, come on, really? The direct monitor latency was 20 milliseconds, and the RTL, or round-trip latency, was 36, and that was at 96K. To give you an idea, the direct monitor of the Rodecaster came in at 12 milliseconds. Now, if you're wondering how I tested all this, it was actually Dylan who helped me out with it, and we basically used this setup. It's brilliantly simple and consistently accurate results time over time. By the way, out of all the units we tested, it's interesting to note the SSL had the best direct monitor time of 0.98 milliseconds, which is completely indecipherable. Well, I understand that a lot of that latency for the Wave XLR is coming down to the processing and routing from the app. There are other solutions out there that don't suffer this fate, and considering it's being marketed as an almost zero latency, this is something I just actually can't get over. And next, I'm not mad, I'm just kind of disappointed. You see, the transparency of Elgato has been a bit suspect here. You see, I ordered this to work on Mac, right? I did my research, wanted to make sure this was something I could integrate into my setup with zero worry. And so when I started reaching out to Elgato support after running into an issue or two, they dropped an absolute bomb on me. And I quote, "Mac currently does not have full XLR dock support, but we do have a beta with full XLR dock support at the link below." I'm sorry, what? You mean this thing that I dropped a bunch of my own cash on isn't fully supported on the platform I intend to use it on? And bless me, I've spent plenty of time rolling around the Elgato website looking for anything that informs me of that, but I'll be damned, I can't find it. Meaning if you're like me, you might drop your hard-earned money on this thing with no way of knowing that it might not be trusted in a mission-critical setting, which is kind of a crappy thing to do to somebody when they're buying your product, Elgato. Just saying. Had I known this wasn't supported, I would not have purchased it. And if you weren't quick enough to catch on to that, you might also run out of time on your return window like I did. Again, kind of a crappy thing to do to your customers, Elgato. Okay, so let's talk about some of the issues I've run into with the Wavelength software. Now, remember, I'm coming at this as a Mac user, and I know some of this might not apply to PC. But again, I didn't know there were issues with the Mac implementation when I bought it. However, you will notice here, when I have the Wave XLR hooked up to my PC, I can just go into the channel settings here and there's no issues. Hook this bad boy up to the Mac, however, and that menu just seems to disappear. This is one of the weirdest things that has come up the last time Wavelength updated, and it's popped up a few times. And I don't know why or how this is happening, but it's changed back and forth a couple times. But as it stands, without that menu, I'm stuck not being able to do a few things. Most importantly, control my direct monitoring situation, which is wildly annoying. Next, the EQ and compression were fine, though while I liked the EQ implementation, the compression was clunky, and I really don't like the auto adjustment it makes. Like that auto gain box that gets checked, it basically creates an expander that just makes your audio sound like crap. And I can honestly say, this is not my favorite compression plugin by far. And I think the biggest thing that annoys me about all of this is that while you can use other VSTs on your audio, like from Waves or Isotope, it basically renders the headphones useless as the latency becomes otherworldly, meaning you really only have those few Elgato branded VSTs. Wouldn't it just be better to have that as DSP on the unit? And finally, something that is really weird, when you close Wavelength and then you want to reopen it, it just doesn't work. You actually have to reboot your computer to reopen it. I have to say, unusable is too kind of a term at this point. So then what can I say about all this? Well, I kind of wish I got the hub option, not gonna lie. Now I'm gonna be keeping the Stream Deck Plus to be used with multiple different programs, as it's kind of a nice thing to have. But what confuses me the most about this whole setup is if you own a Stream Deck, you can use any other interface you want with Wavelength. And I'm just spitballing here, mixing the Connect 2 from Lewitt, and you got DSP on board with the actual interface, and honestly, a bit of a better experience in that regard as well, with the same ability to route, all while still maintaining the utility of Wavelength. And it's because of that I really see no reason to ever buy this, either as a dock or even the standalone interface. And considering the pedigree that Elgato has in building out their ecosystem, I kind of find decisions like this a bit confusing. Instead of doubling down on an inferior interface like this with silly little marketing fluff decisions, why not redesign the interface to be a bit more in line with what the rest of the audio industry is doing? I don't know, like all those DSP effects that the kids are into these days. And then, if you allowed VST support with DSP, I guarantee you, Elgato, you would be top of the pack. Even if it costs more to purchase, that would be something to see. But with all that said, I'm kind of scared to ask, what do you think? Let me know down below. Cheers, guys, and thanks for watching.